Let's talk about the top two teams in this division, starting with the Edmonton Oilers. I don't think the Edmonton Oilers are going to be able to really threaten to win this division. But I mean, how many years can you go in Connor McDavid's career without making a serious playoff run? They've shown now that they can make the postseason. But can they make a serious playoff run? I mean, last year we were talking about how it was all set to basically walk Connor McDavid to the second round of the playoffs, second time in his career. They go out there and they get embarrassed by the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, I'm not going to talk too bad about it. This team is, the Winnipeg Jets, are a very good team. And they're my dark horse to win the Stanley Cup this year. Is the Winnipeg Jets. So I don't want to get too hard on the Edmonton Oilers for losing to them. But they didn't even really put up a fight. But when I look at them this season, obviously McDavid and Draisaitl are probably once again going to finish in the top 5 in NHL scoring. That could be expected. And McDavid himself, you look what he did last season. He almost scored 2 points per game. He scored, 106 points in 55 games? 56 games? He played every game that season? It's ridiculous. He's hitting the prime of his career. This is going to be the most fun we've ever had watching Connor McDavid play hockey. And yes, luckily he's in a bad division, so his team probably is going to make the postseason. And his team is probably going to win a lot of hockey games. But when I look at the rest of this team, man, the same questions every year. And it makes me wonder, do they understand what is going wrong? Do they understand what their weaknesses have been? I get you're a little handcuffed because you're paying Connor McDavid all the money. You're also paying Leon Draisaitl all the money, but they're also producing and covering that. Get them a little bit of help. They did. I like the addition of Zach Hyman this year. I think that's going to be a good help. I think that adds something to this team that they haven't had before. I think it's a little bit of an expensive price, but that's what you're going to pay in free agency. Zach Hyman's going to have a good season. That's going to help, especially if he plays with Connor McDavid, which we're all expecting him to do. And honestly, when I look at Connor McDavid, and I see the guy on the screen right now, if you're watching the YouTube video, I look at Connor McDavid and I see a guy that's going to put up 130 points this season. That's what he's going to do. If he can stay healthy, which, everything that I say is barring injury, I see a guy that can put up 130 points this year. And it's not particularly close. Yeah, last season he almost put up 2 points per game, but you also have to realize a lot less travel, playing the same teams, playing Calgary, who was bad last year, playing Vancouver, that was bad last year, playing Ottawa, who started off the year abysmal, playing the Jets, who were trying to figure out who they were most of the time in the regular season. Yeah, he should have put up those points. And this year, he should put up those points again. He's not going to be a 2-point per game player, but I can see him reaching 130 points this year. It would not surprise me in the least. But again, like I said, when it comes to this team, it's not about making the postseason anymore. It's about winning in the postseason. And the goaltending, that is my biggest question mark right there. Obviously, they have the same questions as always. Is their defense good enough? You add a guy like Duncan Keith, is that going to help? I don't know. So I have questions about their defense. Their forward depth is a question. Okay, yeah, you have year 2 of Jesse Puljujärvi. You bring back RNH. You sign Zach Hyman. Clearly, you have the two of the best players in the NHL with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Who else is there? You're kind of just throwing shit to the wall and seeing what sticks with the rest of that lineup. That's a question for me. Yeah, I understand that when you have a guy like McDavid, it's not as big of an issue because he's going to put up literally 2-3 points a game. That's what he did last season, and I'm pretty positive that he's going to do that most of the time this year too. But the depth is what you're going to need in the postseason because the people are going to be able to cue in on a guy like Connor McDavid. We saw it last postseason with what P.L. Dubois was able to do to McDavid in the first round. So that's going to be a question for me. And then the goaltending. Like I said, I have a picture of Mikko Koskinen up right now. Mikko Koskinen at 33 years old and Mike Smith at 39 years old? Really? This is the best that you guys can do. And they've been running it back with this for a long time. Not to say that either of those guys are particularly bad goaltenders in the league, but they're not great either. You're telling me you couldn't figure out anybody else to bring in. And Mike Smith in his career, when he's been on, he's been very, very good. When he's been off, he's been very, very bad. Is that a dice you want to roll? I mean, you're rolling a paradise here with Koskinen and Mike Smith. I'm not sure I trust that goaltending duo. Do I trust them in the regular season? Yeah. I trust that they're going to be able to keep as many goals out as Connor McDavid is going to put in. I trust that McDavid is going to be able to outscore, and Draisaitl is going to be able to outscore opponents. But when we get into the postseason, you got to win 4 of 7. And McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers have only done that once. And that was a while ago. I mean, we're talking 5 seasons ago since Connor McDavid has been in the second round. And that was the only time in his career. That's what you got to start measuring things up against. We see his draft mate, Jack Eichel, and see everything that's going on with him and how he's trying to get out of Buffalo. Realistically, how far behind is Connor McDavid right now? It's the questions you have to ask right now, because, I mean, yeah, he's one of the best players in the NHL. Yeah, he's extremely, extremely talented. Yeah, he's going to be the best player in the league this year. Does it matter at all if you can't win in the postseason? I mean, you know Connor McDavid wants to win in the postseason. Will this team be able to? I don't know. Will they be able to make the playoffs in this division? Yes. Yeah, Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers will be in the postseason. They're probably going to finish in the 2 spot. If I had to put money on it, they'd finish in the 2 spot. But will they win in the postseason? I'm not so sure. Maybe if they finish in the 2 spot and they play a team like the Calgary Flames, maybe. Just because I don't know how the Calgary Flames are going to be ever in the postseason, especially. I want to finish off this episode with the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, this team, listen, if you're looking for safe money, put money on the Vegas Golden Knights, a futures bet to win the Pacific Division. That's probably the safest money you're going to get in the NHL right now. I mean, this is what, year 5 of existence, and they're a perennial favorite in this division. I talked about the Winnipeg Jets on last Friday's episode and said, hey, 3 of the last 4 seasons, the team that has beaten them has gone on to the Stanley Cup final. Well, Vegas Golden Knights, even more impressively, 3 of the past 4 seasons, the Vegas Golden Knights themselves have been in the Stanley Cup semifinals. The Western Conference Finals, 2 of those years, and of course last year, the Stanley Cup semifinals where they lost to the Montreal Canadiens. This team is always there. This team is always finding ways to win in the postseason. Now they struggle to score in the postseason, but they find ways to win, especially in the first and the second round. And this team is always extremely talented and extremely, extremely good at winning regular season hockey games. They challenged for the President's Trophy last year, were not able to get it. But this year, in this division, they are the odds-on favorite for good reason. I have a question about this team. Are they heels? I mean, this podcast that I'm on right now, our intent is to cover all 32 teams in the NHL. So if you're a Vegas fan, ignore this question. If you're a fan of any of the other 31 teams in the NHL, are the Vegas Golden Knights the bad guys now? Because they came into the league as the rough and scrappy underdogs, went to the Stanley Cup final, were still the underdogs against Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals. Okay, that was their first season. The second season, you saw what happened to them in that first round series against the San Jose Sharks. Oh, they were screwed. Okay, so people back them. They're the baby faces again. Are they finally the heels now? Was the Marc-Andre Fleury trade the nail in the proverbial coffin that they are no longer baby faces? I mean, that matched with the fact that now we have the Seattle Kraken is the plucky youngsters, I guess. That's the way to put it? I don't know. I mean, the way they handled the Fleury trade, then you go back, the way they handled getting rid of Nate Schmidt, then you go back, the way they handled firing Gerard Gallant and bringing in Peter DeBoer. I mean, are these guys the bad guys? Is that how you look at them if you're one of the other 31, a fan from one of the other 31 fan bases? I'd like to know that. I mean, let me know. Go over to my Twitter page at Hockey Hotbed Pod. Let me know. Are the Vegas Golden Knights the bad guy going into the season? Or are they still the babyface in this league? Now, with that, I do want to actually talk about their team. I mean, they trade Marc-Andre Fleury, which is the biggest move in the offseason, which means this guy, the Panda, Robin Lehner, is now the guy. He is the starter. They bring in Laurent Brossoit to back him up, but Robin Lehner is going to carry the load in Vegas. Something that he has done before. Something I didn't notice is Robin Lehner's going into his 12th NHL season. I talked about Sergei Bobrovsky going into his 12th season. Robin Lehner's been here just as long as Bobrovsky. That's hard to believe. Now, he's been one of the top goaltenders only since he went to the Islanders a couple seasons back, but he is going to be one of the top goaltenders again. He faced a little bit of injury issues last season, hoping for a full season this year. And if you listen to his interview on the Spit and Chicklets podcast, you understand that this guy, I mean, he's a character. He has personality. It's something that we ask for from every NHL player because it doesn't seem like they do. Robin Lehner has personality. He's a great Twitter follow. He's a great goaltender. And now he has the reins in Vegas. No more goalie controversy. No more Marc-Andre Fleury. No more Vezina Trophy winner. It's all on Robin Lehner this season. That's going to be a fun storyline to watch. How can Robin Lehner play as the starter for that team? Now, it helps that he's playing behind such a good team. I mean, you look at even just strictly their defense. Alec Martinez, Shea Theodore, and Alex Pietrangelo. I mean, come on. And then you talk about the fact that their star player, their starting center is Mark Stone, who is perpetually a Selke Trophy nominee. Yeah, he has a lot of help there. But he's also a very talented goaltender. So we'll see what happens in his first year. I expect nothing but, honestly, possibly a Vezina nomination this year for Robin Lehner. We'll see. But it is his team to lose now. There's no more controversy. There's nothing else like that going on in Vegas. Which, good for him, honestly. It might make it easier in Vegas right now. A little less goalie controversy, a little more just winning hockey games, which is what they do. Now, a big blow for them is Alex Tuch will miss the beginning of the season after having off-season shoulder surgery. He was placed on long-term injured reserve, so a little bit of cap help there, but you would much rather have a guy like Alex Tuch in the lineup than out of the lineup. So he's probably going to be out. I would imagine at least the first month, possibly 2 months, because he had that shoulder surgery after the season in July? So end of June, beginning of July. So we'll see when Alex Tuch returns. That is a big blow, but I'm excited to see Nolan Patrick. He is a former second overall pick of the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers shipped him off in that massive 3-team trade in the offseason. And then he signed a deal with the Vegas Golden Knights. So here he is on his second NHL team, getting a fresh start. He had all the migraine issues that he had in Philly. So obviously that didn't help, having those injury issues, and especially one like that. And then last season, you look at how he played, and he did struggle. Only 4 goals, 9 points, and he played in almost every game last season. And then he was also a -30. If you actually take that into account, which, as I always say, and as my co-host on my other podcast, Tip of the Iceberg, always says, looking at plus minus doesn't mean anything unless it's really bad. And a -30 is really bad for Nolan Patrick. Is he going to have a bounce back? I don't think he's going to be that bad. Going to a new team, for all intents and purposes, I've heard he's playing very well in training camp, and he's looking pretty good in training camp. So I'm excited to see him on a new team. And if he can hit, and if he can meet the expectations that we had for him when he was a second overall pick, then Vegas looks like geniuses for bringing him in. And he's on a low cap hit too, so it's low risk for Vegas. Potentially very high reward. So keep an eye on Nolan Patrick this year. And the thing is, if he doesn't pan out, they still are very good. The rest of the star players are back. You have Max Pacioretty. You have the Golden Misfits line. And then you have your captain coming back. One of the superstars of the league, Mark Stone. His second year as a captain, his first full year as a captain. He's going to be great this year. He's going to be a Selke nominee. He's going to put in plenty of goals. He's going to be entertaining to watch. He's going to be gift-worthy all year. This guy is a superstar in the league. I'm excited more so this year than I was last year to watch Mark Stone because of a couple of reasons. And they all stem around the new TV deal for the NHL. How will he be? Let me try that again. How will he be marketed by ESPN? ESPN loves the Vegas market. We'll see. And he is the captain there, and he is also one of the newest superstars. Now, he's been around the league for a while, but he's one of the newest superstars in the league, and I would give him that moniker. I like to be a little hesitant on calling people superstars, but Mark Stone is a superstar, and he does it in a different way. He plays great defensively, and then he goes out there and he puts in goals, and he plays a tough style of hockey. So I'm excited to watch him. I'm excited to watch the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm excited about the whole NHL season, really. I can't say much. My one question for the Vegas Golden Knights before I log off for this episode: can they score in the playoffs? Obviously, that's not an issue right now because it's the beginning of October. It's literally October 1st. But once they get to the postseason, then they will get to the postseason for the 5th straight year out of 5 years of existence, which is still ridiculous to think about. But the biggest question once they get to the postseason is, are they going to be able to continue to score the entire way through? And if they will, it's going to be tough to keep them out of the Stanley Cup Finals. But again, very premature to talk about that. For right now, I'm going to talk about them as the class of the Pacific Division, which is, in my opinion, the weakest division in hockey right now. But hey, I've been proven wrong more than once. We'll see what happens with the Pacific Division. That's going to be it for today's episode of the Hockey Hotbed. I hope you all enjoyed today's episode, and I hope you continue to enjoy these previews. As we have one left, we'll talk about the Metropolitan Division to kick off next week on Tuesday. But like I said, that is going to be it for today's episode of the Hockey Hotbed. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend, hockey fans.